Didn't look too happy about it at all. Somebody made a comment as I came in earlier this morning and I went to grab a cup of coffee. He said, hey, this is not good. It's not good. You feel really sorry for those people who have to lose under such intense scrutiny. And it really got me thinking, you know, if you think of the US elections, for example, when Hillary Clinton suffered a shock defeat, she was away from the cameras. She had a few moments to compose herself, to have a moment on her own, and thereafter she then came back and then, you know, then she makes her statements, a concession speech, etc. Here, everything plays out in real time. So you get to see all the facial expressions and all of those kind of things. From a humane perspective, it's something to think about, you know, that is it really nice to put somebody under that degree of scrutiny. Having said that, all right, so NDZ has lost. Where did it go wrong? I think first up, she was a reluctant candidate. We read and we continue to read about how the Women's League had to send a delegation to Addis Ababa to tell her it's time for a woman president and we think you're the candidate. Whether Jacob Zuma had in that, I suppose, is anyone's guess, but I wouldn't be surprised whether he perhaps pushed the Women's League to push her. After she had agreed, now this is the thing, everyone said, well, she's lost the elections because she surrounded herself with the wrong kind of people. That is true, but the question is, did she have a choice? She's not a charismatic person, right? She's a technocrat, she's efficient, but she's not the type of person who can build up that support from the bottom up to win, the presidency of the ANC. Now, there were only two camps. There was the Ramaphosa camp that was there already, which started to form already after Nhlanhla Nene was fired, where you had many stalwarts and seniors in the party telling Ramaphosa, you need to pick up your hand and you need to put an end to this. So if she wanted to become president of the ANC, there was no other vehicle to take her to the top position except that Zuma faction vehicle. And therefore, I don't think she had too much of a choice. From a political perspective, morally you can take the debate and say whether then she should have stood in the first place or not. Now, obviously, she had people like Matabele Dlamini backing her, and they themselves were under so much of pressure with the SASA scandals and all of that, so it didn't help her credibility. Secondly, then she had big problems in the media. The media were punting for Ramaphosa. They aligned her and put her totally in that Zuma Gupta camp, and she paid a big price. She got very little favorable coverage, and as a result, she wasn't the favorite, the societal favorite in terms of the race. And then the Women's League made a big strategic blunder. And that is that they didn't get all the senior women on side for Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. They just announced very suddenly before the January 8th statement that there can be only one candidate and it's Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. So you saw Baleka Mbete breaking ranks. You saw Lindiwe Sisulu breaking ranks. So they did not get all the votes or all the support rather of the females, the senior females at least within the ANC. And then she had, I think, and this was what broke the back of the campaign for me, was scandal after scandal after scandal that plagued President Jacob Zuma this particular year, and for which she had to pay a political cost because she was now aligned with him and his entire faction. So it's a combination of all of those things, but I think more than anything, it's just the sheer weight of all of those scandals combined. But having said that, Faisal, right, you still, from a political perspective, not a moral and ethical perspective, but from a political perspective, it still shows you how strong a campaign she had, that she only fell short by 179 votes after all of those scandals, after being surrounded by, idiots like, Carl Niehaus, and having Matabele Dlamini be your cheerleader, all these dubious characters, and all these scandals, and yet you fall short by only 179 votes. So it tells you about the strength of that faction, that Zuma faction. They almost pulled it off. And that's why when people say that Zuma has suffered his first serious political defeat, that is technically correct. But then you also have to say, look at how close it was. It shows you his political experience in survival, his political experience in competing for power. He's useless in leading and instrumentalizing power, but he almost pulled it off again, notwithstanding, it's almost, you have to look globally for a parallel where a leader has gone through so many scandals and still almost pulled off yet another victory. And even this defeat isn't a complete defeat, as we discussed the last time around. Now, obviously, the ANC is sitting with a lot of egg on their face. Alan Zille is poking fun at them this morning because they were talking about the first female president, and now they've ended up with the top five in the top six, where your five of your top six are ladies, and the lady who's coming in, the only lady, is actually a repeat. She's serving for her third term in that particular position, and now they've got this whole gender potato to deal with. It would be very interesting to see now that in this press briefing after 10, what the Women's League have got to say. My prediction is they're going to say, we're disappointed, it's sad that this is what happened, but at least the ladies contested. At least for the first time, there was a female contender for presidency, and for the first time, she actually gave a man a run for his money. And you know, give us credit for that, and we'll come the next time and we'll try better. And we're still going to, obviously, they're going to be a 50-50 split in the NEC. The last question with regards to Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, touching the age of 70, where does she go to from here? A position in cabinet is, you know, pretty much what she's been doing most of her life. 2 Mbeki terms, 1 Zuma term, and 1 Mandela term. She served 20 years in cabinet. Right? It's only the last 5 years that she was at the AU. What else is there for her to do? She'll serve in the NEC, but that's just to remain part of the broader, you know, party leadership. I think her political career has pretty much come to an end.
Well, you know, you were speaking about the mistake that the Women's League made by, you know, getting her to come on board very late. Do you think that they made a mistake, and I read somewhere yesterday, that they made a mistake also during Polokwane, when they had an opportunity to, you know, vote for her as deputy president? When Mbeki was recalled, she could have become the president of the country, and they should have given her some sort of experience to come into this particular race, even a better candidate.
I don't think it was a mistake, politically speaking. It was tactics. And you know, political tactics are very relative and are very fluid. So politicians will say something today and say something else tomorrow if the interests change. So the Women's League saw their interests better served in Zuma, in Polokwane, and they wanted that whole slate to come in, so therefore they sang a different tune, and they didn't support Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma then. This time around, they saw their interests. Now, many say, and I would tend to incline in this way, that the Women's League was merely a conduit for Zuma's own political operations. So that time around, it suited them it suited him for them to support him. This time around, it suited him for them to support her. So I don't believe that it is so much about the gender, but nonetheless, because they made it a gender issue, they're supposed to have then brought in Baleka Mbete and Indiwe Sisulu into the huddle, so to speak, and by keeping them out, they kind of made a tactical blunder. Another thing which seems to have hurt Dlamini-Zuma is the fact that Didi Mabuza didn't like her. And Mabuza, I think at some point got a bit clever and said, well, why must I just deliver the presidency to NDZ and become a vice president, where I can be vice president and deliver the presidency to somebody else who will be then indebted to me. And that on the apparent seems like what he has done. He's now the real power broker there. He gave Cyril the votes that Cyril needed. Cyril is indebted to him. He's basically the most powerful person in the top 6. He's diluted, as Ralph Mateja has written this morning. He's put both the Zuma faction and the Ramaphosa faction on the back foot, and he can kind of create his own faction within the ANC, and this is now what is really scary.
Well, and just finally, we were speaking now to Professor Noor Niftahuddin, and you know, he's echoing some of the statements of the opposition parties that it may be too little, too late for the ANC. What's Moulana's comments on that?
It may be, right? But no matter what happens from here onwards, the ANC is still going to be the party in the strongest position come 2019. They are going to be the weakest that they ever were from 1994 going into 2019, but they're still going to be the strongest in terms of, you know, from between them, the DA and the EFF. What is most probably going to happen is there's going to be a significant decrease in the percentage that they get. So gone are the days of 65% or even 60%. You're looking at best early 50s. They live with early 50s. If they get 51%, they'll smile and they'll carry on. That's what happened in Gauteng, and you know, Makura is a premier as a result. But what is definitely going to happen is that they're going to drop significantly. Then what is likely to happen thereafter, there's a question mark. It's a bit too early to say. Whether they will win the elections, but not by a majority, and it will be time for coalition politics, or whether they will lose so much of support that the DA and EFF and others together could actually rule, and the ANC would sit in the opposition benches. I think the fact that Cyril is the president has kind of, you know, for now plugged the hole in terms of that narrative where they were going to lose power. They may gain it, but by which margin? I think that's the key question.
And finally,